Well, let's head out to the grocery store because today I'm making a pot of homemade soup. Well, the holidays do have a way of stirring up so many different emotions, don't they? For years, the season was loud and busy and full of kids running around, schedules packed, traditions stacked on top of each other. But somewhere along the way, without making a big announcement, life shifted. The house got quieter, the pace slowed down. The familiar chaos quieted. And suddenly the holidays looked different. Not bad, not wrong, just different. These are what I call the in-between years. The years where we're no longer in the thick of raising a family, but maybe we're not yet in that season where new little ones are gathered around our table. It's this tender space in the middle where the memories behind us feel warm and the future ahead feels wide open. But today is calm. For some of us, that quiet feels peaceful. For others, it feels unfamiliar, maybe a little lonely or unsettling. And for many of us, it's both, all at the same time. So as we move through this holiday together, I want to talk about finding peace right here in this in-between season of life. Not by recreating what once was, and not by waiting for what might be someday, but by learning to embrace the beauty in what is. If your holidays look different now, you're not alone, and you're not doing anything wrong. This is simply a new chapter, and there can be so much goodness here. Success. Let's get started on today's topic right after I enjoy my soup. So the holidays often bring feelings that we just don't feel like ourselves anymore. The house is quieter maybe. The schedule is certainly lighter. Our traditions have changed. We talked a lot about that last week. And so we're living in what I'm calling the in-between years. We're not in the child raising years anymore. And maybe we're not in the grandmother years anymore. Or maybe we have grandchildren, but they live far away. So we're kind of in between. And these years can bring a new quiet, but they can also bring an ache that we don't like to talk about, or we don't know how to talk about it. So today, let's navigate the season without guilt, without comparing, and without feeling like something is wrong with us. If our holidays look different now than they used to, different from other women that we know, even different from your friends or other family members. Part one, the holiday shift. What's the holiday shift? Well, one of the hardest truths to accept is that the holidays naturally evolve over time. The people around the table change. Our kids become adults. Families blend, families separate. Loved ones pass away. Traditions fade or expand. But it's all about change. And no one warns you about this middle season where nothing is wrong, but it's not quite the same as it used to be either. You're not hosting as much. Maybe the house isn't full of noise and chaos. You're not running on sheer adrenaline, and no one is tugging at your sleeve needing something. And my favorite, you haven't spent hours putting together toys, finding batteries, and stuffing stockings with cookies. I remember when my kids were little, I used to actually buy a bag of carrots and hide them. And then that night, Christmas Eve, I would chew them up and spit them out on our front path. And the children thought that the reindeer had been out there eating carrots while they were sleeping. Now, you would think I don't have to do that anymore, and I should be relieved. Life's a little easier. Well, yeah, but sometimes quiet can feel just a little too quiet. But I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. We are all transitioning. The problem is we're transitioning at different times. So a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old is going through different things at different times. And so these in-between years feel odd because they challenge the identity or how we saw each other and saw ourselves, more importantly, for decades. And really no one talks about it because we don't know what it is until we start to go through it. And when I brought this up with my friends, we all agreed it has nothing to do with age. Every family is on a different timeline. It's all about what journey you're on and what your family obligations are. But because of that, it feels weird to bring it up with friends because they may be older than you, but not understand what you're talking about because they've got a half a dozen grandkids running around. But for many years, many of us, the glue, the caregiver, the planner, the hostess, the memory maker, the one who kept the old family traditions alive. And now life just doesn't require that much of us during the holidays. We get to make up new rules, but this can bring up emotions, different kinds of emotions, maybe a little grief, feeling a little lonely, maybe a little relieved. Also, maybe a longing for some of those special moments or gratitude for the calm. It's definitely a mixed bag. Two emotions can live in the same heart at the same time. So how do we let go of comparing the old days to today? Because we're not going back. And I would say that one of the biggest emotional traps is looking back too hard. Old photos, old traditions, old memories, and measuring it against your life today, what your calendar looks like. But holidays in midlife are not supposed to look like holidays when we were 28 or 38 or 48 or 58. We're different. Our children are different. Our life is different. So instead of comparing, let's make this gentle shift in our way of looking at things. Ask yourself, what is this season that I'm in my life giving to me that I've never had before? What opportunities? Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's peace, no drama. Maybe it's slow mornings, finally enjoying a hot cup of coffee or tea. I mean, seriously, for years, my coffee was always lukewarm. Maybe it's a time to reflect. Maybe it's a time to enjoy the absence of chaos. Maybe it's the freedom to create traditions that fit you and not everyone else. You don't have to recreate the past on a smaller scale. You're never too old to create something new, learn something new, try something new. So think about some small traditions just for you. When the holidays come, the magic is really in the smallest of personal traditions. One of the things I'm trying to do this year is a morning walk all month long, taking either coffee, if it's hot, even better, hot chocolate, or setting the dinner table, even if it's just for you. Break out your best dishes, maybe a couple of little Christmas decorations on the table. Today, I filled my mug cabinet with my mishmash, there you go, of Christmas mugs. I think we all have one of those. The mugs we received over the years from the kids, from the office white elephant. It brings back some funny memories. I think these are almost 50 years old. My sister gave them to me when she was in high school. Maybe it's watching a favorite movie or sending some handwritten notes to old friends, old acquaintances, volunteering somewhere meaningful, cooking a special dish, even if it's only for you. I showed you today that I cooked some soup from scratch. Woohoo! I'll share that with you later. Maybe buy yourself a small gift. Turn on the Christmas music. Watch Hallmark movies. Light a scented candle. I always like candles when people come over. Today, I'm lighting a candle for myself. I'm also starting to do a Christmas puzzle. I'm putting it out this week. I've got it right here. Get your Christmas puzzle. I was actually at a Friendsgiving the other night, And I walked into their house and they had a card table set up in the family room with a partially done puzzle and said, hey, grab a few pieces when you get a chance. And so there was a whole group of us standing around the puzzle table, talking and putting a few pieces in. I didn't do too well. Just these tiny holiday touches or holiday treats give your day a little bit of meaning, a little bit of pampering without any of the holiday pressure. If it's a quiet holiday for you, maybe you're alone by choice, or maybe it's circumstance this year. Know that your holiday is not small or less than. It's simply different. And you get to determine how you're going to spend that day. It can be a quiet day, staying in your pajamas, watching Hallmark. You make it a great day. Find things to do that make you feel good, happy, at peace. You know, a quiet day can be a healing day, an intentional day, a reflective day. It can be a really good day. I think a lot of it is mindset, but it's also doing those little special things for you. When we grew up in a world where we were always doing special things for others. One of the members of our community made a comment on last week's video, and I absolutely loved it. It was so profound. And her definition of quiet and change for her was walking through her dining room and seeing a table that can hold 12 for Thanksgiving Day with no one around the table because their family traditions have changed. And I'll be hosting this year. I've often shared with all of you that I'll be hosting until, my mom and dad are in their 90s, and it's nice for them to come here. It's easy for my mother to get around on her walker. And my father knows that I will cook exactly what he wants for his holiday dinner for Thanksgiving anyway. He gets his turkey and green beans. But someday my table will not have 10 people around it for Thanksgiving. It will be a quiet table, a table I probably don't need anymore. But what about setting the table anyway for you? And if you have a friend or maybe still have your spouse, setting up a fancy little dinner for two at that big table and sitting in there with some holiday music on and a candle and enjoying something special, doing something for yourself. We're all looking for a new kind of holiday peace when we get to these years. So many women in midlife resist these in-between years because they feel unfamiliar. That doesn't mean bad, and different doesn't mean empty. Quiet doesn't have to mean lonely. You get to fill your days. And having a day of rest doesn't mean you're forgotten. It can actually be a season of, peace and enjoyment, of rediscovering the true meaning of the holidays. I know that sounds a little Hallmark, but come on, what does it really mean to you if you take out all the to-do lists? It's okay if your holidays look different. It's okay if your traditions have changed, and it's okay if this year feels quieter than it used to. You're in those in-between years, and it can be a very special time. You get to do things for yourself. You get to do that Christmas puzzle. You get to pamper yourself. You get to put your hair in rollers and put a face mask on. The things we did when we were teenagers. Make the best of it. At the end of the day, it's a season for being grateful. And if you are a spiritual person, going to your place of worship and getting a little more involved this year, lighting a candle for next year, finding things outside of your home that make you realize that you're still part of a great big world where there is lots going on. And there are a lot of us who are going through exactly what you're going through. So I will grab my Merry Christmas mug from my sister 50 years ago. Yeah, I would have been about 18 years old when she gave this to me. Isn't that incredible? Set of 4, down to 2. But I'm going to enjoy my coffee. Nice, hot coffee. I will put the recipe to the soup. It's a white bean soup with pancetta, made from scratch. Took me half the day. But hey, the house smelled fabulous. It was delicious. But I will put that in the description. Take care. Enjoy your hot cup of coffee and the season to come. See you next week.